Chapter 24. What went wrong? What went wrong? I reflected upon returning from death. Judite had said, "How dull," and killed me. In other words, maybe I should say something more interesting. However, I couldn't come up with anything like that at all. Anyway, I decided to go back to Judite once more. "So, what benefits do I gain by taking you as my disciple?" She asked the same question again. "There are no benefits. However, please make me your disciple," I said, this time choosing to appeal with sincerity since I couldn't offer any benefits. "It's not worth discussing," she declared, and I was killed once again. Afterward, I repeatedly visited the vampire Judite only to be killed. At one point, she asked, "So, what benefits do I gain by taking you as my disciple?" I replied, "I can take care of everything. Shopping, cleaning, meal preparation, you name it. So please, make me your disciple." She responded with, "I don't particularly feel the need for such things," and killed me. On another occasion, in response to the same question, "So, what benefits do I gain by taking you as my disciple?" I said, "Leave the physical work to me. I might not look like it, but I have experience with farming, so I'm confident in my strength." To which she replied, "If it's strength you're talking about, I'm superior," and killed me. And then, on another occasion, "I can be a conversation partner. You see, living in a place like this, there's no opportunity to talk to other people, so I thought you might be feeling lonely." "I'm not particularly lonely," she said, and then she killed me. After that, I attempted many times, only to be killed. I had no idea what she was looking for. "So, what benefits do I gain by taking you as my disciple?" "I can show you interesting things." "Interesting things." Saying this, the vampire Judite showed interest. "Yes, I have a purpose. It's revenge." Revenge. It sounds quite delightful. I was surprised that this was the most positive response I had received so far. With a sense of inner joy, I began to explain my past, the persecution by the villagers, the loss of my beloved, and the exile to this dungeon due to false accusations. However, I concealed the fact that I kept returning from death with the skill, save and reset. It was still too early to trust her that much. So, I desperately want to become stronger and make the villagers see my power. To achieve that, I want to become your disciple and gain strength, I said, bowing my head. "That's quite interesting," she chuckled. "So, what kind of revenge are you specifically thinking about?" Revenge was all I had in mind, and I hadn't really thought about the specifics. "I will kill them all," I said, considering the answer that would likely please the vampire in front of me the most. "How will you kill them?" "I will torture them before killing them. It will be the most gruesome way. No one will be spared, regardless of age or gender. I'll make them regret subjecting me to this from the bottom of their hearts." "That sounds quite good." She grinned broadly. "I've developed a desire to see what will become of you." "All right. Don't get too excited just yet. If you pass the test, I'll make you my disciple." "A test? Thank you." Finally, I had provided an answer that satisfied her. I didn't know what kind of test awaited me, but I couldn't afford to miss this opportunity, so I steeled myself for whatever lay ahead. Chapter 25. I will give you some instructions. "So, what is the content of the test?" "For now, just follow me," said the vampire Judite. With that, Judite began to walk, so I obediently followed along. "By the way, what's your name?" "I'm Kiska." "Kiska, huh, come to think of it, you seem to know my name quite well." "Well, I heard rumors about a vampire residing in this dungeon." "I see. Well, I have been living here for quite some time, so it's not surprising to hear such rumors. I actually heard it from Agatha during the repeated time leaps, but I decided to keep that to myself." "Did Kiska use a teleportation circle before coming here?" "Yes, I did." "Are you aware that there were 3 teleportation circles?" "Yes, I am." "In that case, the explanation will be straightforward. This dungeon has a somewhat peculiar design, and the route you can take changes with each teleportation circle. However, once you step on a teleportation circle, you cannot access a different route." As Judite explained, the route indeed changed significantly depending on which teleportation circle you used. The first route had the sealed Agatha, the second route had the vampire Judite, and the third route had the parasitic sword. However, with a certain secret tactic, you can move to a different route. Saying this, the vampire Judite placed her hand on the wall. Initially, I thought it was an ordinary wall, but it seemed to function as a concealed switch. When Judite pressed it, the wall recessed, and a new passage appeared. I had no idea there was a hidden passage like this. Walking through that passage led to another new path. As I continued down the path, I came across a familiar sight. If you can gain control over the parasitic sword, I'll consider it a passing grade for the test, Judite said. Control. Wait, I don't understand the meaning. I've used this sword countless times, but I've never been able to control it even once. This sword has a very tricky nature. It parasitizes its owner, and with each defeat of monsters or humans, it grows and eventually even takes over the consciousness. Honestly, because it attacks monsters and humans indiscriminately, I've always wanted to dispose of it. But merely touching it would lead to parasitism, so I couldn't risk doing anything. So, what do you want me to do? After being parasitized by this sword, overcome it and gain control over the sword in return. Can I even do something like that? You'll most likely fail 9 times out of 10, she said with a nonchalant expression. Well, I'll give you some guidance, she said, but I honestly didn't feel like I could actually control it. Perhaps you got cold feet. Unfortunately, you don't have a choice. If you refuse, I'll kill you right here and now. It seemed there was no choice after all. No, I'll do it. Please teach me how. It seems you've already steeled yourself. Now, for the specific method, first, grip the blade instead of the hilt. Understood. As instructed, I gripped the blade. Instantly, intense pain surged through my entire body. However, it was less painful than when I gripped the hilt. I could still endure this. So, what should I do after this? Swallow it. While looking up, insert the blade smoothly from the tip into the back of your throat. Well, if I do something like that, won't I die? Yes, I think there's a high possibility of dying. But it seems to work occasionally. I let out a sigh. Well, I guess there's no choice. With determination, I inserted the parasitic sword into the back of my throat. And in the next moment, my consciousness faded away. Chapter 26 Master. Are you the one who wants to become my master? Who is this? I am the core of the parasitic sword puppeteer of guts and machination. The one who spoke like this was an entity that could only be described as a monster. One might even call it an aggregation of darkness, with eye and mouth parts scattered in the darkness. I see, the core of the parasitic sword. Where is this place? The surrounding scenery was also strange. In the darkness, flickering flames were scattered about. Was this such a sight? This is your deep inner world, I suppose. My interpretation of it being in my mind is probably not far off. Well, the exact location doesn't matter much. More importantly, I have a request. I want you to lend me your power. I am currently powerless. I'll acquire the power no matter whose power it is. All right. It was surprisingly easy. Is it really okay for you to agree so easily? That's a strange response. You were the one who brought it up, right? Well, that's true. I couldn't help but be suspicious because I had expected to be rejected. No, you see, there's a familiar scent coming from your soul. So I thought it would be okay for me to follow you. A familiar scent. Even though I've been resetting my deaths, I've been taken over by the parasitic sword multiple times. Maybe that's what it meant by a familiar scent. Anyway, please take care of me, my master. With those words, my consciousness awakened. When I opened my eyes, there was the vampire Judite sitting in a chair. Oh, I never expected you to succeed. Vampire Judite had wide eyes. It seemed that she didn't expect it to work. I just followed her orders, though. Well, it's all right. Please come with me. She seemed to be going somewhere. What are we going to do? I told you. If you pass the test, I'll make you my disciple. From now on, I will train you. How many skills do you possess? Just one. In reality, I had 2 skills, provocation, and save and reset, but I kept the latter hidden. And if I were to inquire about that skill, it's provocation. It's quite disappointing. I'm aware of it. Well then, would you like to acquire another skill from now on? Huh, can you do something like that? Oh, do you not know who I am? You are the great vampire Judite. That's true, but I've been living in this dungeon for nearly 1,000 years. So I know everything about this dungeon. She said this as she pointed to her head. Of course, I know the locations of all the treasure chests where skills can be obtained. Chapter 27 Skill Acquisition. According to the vampire Judite, there are 3 treasure chests in the depths of this dungeon where skills can be obtained. One of them contained the provocation skill, which I acquired. Therefore, I still have 2 more skills I can obtain. Hidden passages in a place like this. Judite placed her hand on the wall, and a hidden passage appeared. There's a treasure chest ahead. As she said, there was a treasure chest at the end of the passage. Inside, I found a transparent crystal. Obtained, Crystal of Wisdom. Its effect will activate automatically. This message seemed familiar. I recalled seeing it when I opened a treasure chest for the first time. Please select 1 skill you want to acquire from the following skills. S rank. Item box, enhanced healing, enhanced mana recovery, intimidation, precognition, perception. A rank. Healing magic, fire magic, water magic, wind magic, earth magic, lightning magic, alchemy, curses, telepathy, enhanced magic. B rank. Swordsmanship, archery, axe skills, spear skills, physical combat, staff skills. C rank. Enhanced physicality, presence, detection, mana generation, fire resistance, water resistance, wind resistance, earth resistance, sharpness enhancement, accuracy enhancement, evasion enhancement, dark vision. D rank. Appraisal, strength enhancement, endurance enhancement, agility enhancement, vitality enhancement. The list of skills I had seen before was somewhat similar, but there were some differences. I didn't recall seeing skills like intimidation, or precognition. Judite-sama, which one should I choose? Well, I think you should go with the swordsmanship skill. Without this skill, it's not even worth discussing. Following her suggestion, I chose the swordsmanship skill. Acquired skill open double angle bracket swordsmanship close double angle bracket. With this, it seems I've successfully obtained the open double angle bracket swordsmanship close double angle bracket skill. Well then, let's go acquire another skill. With that in mind, we set off for the location where the second skill could be obtained. The second skill was located near the deepest part of the dungeon. There's the boss of this dungeon up ahead. In the gaze of the vampire Judite, there was a particularly large door. If we defeat this boss, can we leave the dungeon? Yes, of course, that's right. Do you also need to defeat the boss when you want to leave, Judite-sama? I asked on a whim. Judite's hideout had a bed and a table. In other words, it seemed that she frequently went outside to shop. Yes, that's right. Judite-sama, you can easily defeat any boss, can't you? No, it's not quite like that. With that, she denied it and then said after a brief pause. I haven't been able to go outside for nearly 50 years now. Lately, it seems the boss's power has become stronger, making it difficult for even me to defeat. She said this while gritting her teeth. I thought, what kind of boss can't she defeat? The second treasure chest was located at the end of a hidden passage near the room where the boss was. Acquired open double angle bracket crystal of wisdom close double angle bracket. Its effect activates forcibly. Force activation of the crystal of wisdom. I've never heard of this before. You have acquired the skill, attribute bestowal. Oh, it seems you've obtained a rare skill. Well, this crystal of wisdom is an item that grants a person a random skill. However, it's a bit of a problem. Attribute bestowal is a magic-based skill, so it won't be useful unless you acquire the mana generation skill. So, you mean it's a miss? Well, there's no need to worry too much. As long as you plan to eventually acquire mana generation, you'll be fine. Understood. In that case, does that mean there's hope of acquiring mana generation? In that case, shall we start special training from tomorrow? With that decision, the days of special training under the vampire Judite began. Chapter 28 You can attack more boldly. The parasitic sword has already entered your body and become flesh and blood. At the beginning of the special training, the vampire Judite explained it this way. As a nature, it is similar to my blood. Saying that, Judite reached out her left hand. Rose blade. The moment she muttered that, a blade made of blood sprang from her left wrist. I can manipulate the blood flowing in my body like this. You should also be able to freely manipulate the parasitic sword inside your body. Understood. With that response, I closed my eyes and turned my consciousness to the puppeteer circulating in my body. You have acquired the skill, Parasitic Sword Puppeteer Master. What? I'm astonished by the sudden appearance of this message. It seems you've been able to elevate a technique into a skill. I've heard of this. For example, if you train with a sword every day, you may acquire the skill, swordsmanship. Skills are often considered innate, but they can also be obtained through effort. So, it's likely a similar principle that allowed me to acquire this skill. I close my eyes once more. As a result, I can sense the puppeteer circulating within my body. I materialize it outside of my body. You have acquired the derived skill, Black Blade. When I open my eyes, along with the message about acquiring the skill, a black one-handed sword is held in my hand. At the very least, this should make you capable of fighting. The vampire Judite declared. Now, shall we begin your special training? From that day on, special training with the vampire Judite began. Keep your guard tighter, and your step-ins are too soft. Yes. Facing Judite, brandishing a sword made of blood. In response, I desperately caught it using the puppeteer. Judite's strikes were heavy, and just blocking them caused me to stagger backward. Nevertheless, I clung on desperately. Don't be afraid of monsters, attack more boldly. Understood. In addition to training with Judite, I also trained against monsters. Currently, I was battling the A-class difficulty monster in the dungeon, the Headless Mule. I could fight with confidence, knowing that if I were on the brink of death, the vampire Judite would come to my rescue. Monster subjugation confirmed. Acquired skill points. As I cut the Headless Mule with my sword, a message window appeared at the same time. All right. I couldn't help but strike a triumphant pose. With control over the puppeteer, I had successfully defeated a monster for the first time. You have quite a good physique, don't you? Out of nowhere, Judite complimented me, leaving me surprised. Is that so? Honestly, I don't think I have any sense for combat. Well, I never expected you to be able to defeat it on your own at this stage. You seem to be exceptionally skilled at reading the movements of the monsters and dodging their attacks. Do you have any experience in combat? No, not really. In that case, it might be a natural talent. As I received compliments, I internally realized something. After all, I had dodged the attacks of the armored bear bugbear countless times by dying and resetting. I had extensive experience in avoiding monster attacks, and that was likely helping me stay alive in combat. Now that you've acquired skill points, how about trying to level up your skills? Yes. As I replied, I opened the status screen. Hollow down pointing triangle, 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 hollow down pointing triangle. Name: Kiska. Skill 1, Save and Reset. Skill 2, Provocation Level 1. Skill 3, Swordsmanship Level 1. Skill 4, Attribute Bestowal Level 1. Skill 5, Parasitic Sword Puppeteer Master Level 1. Hollow up pointing triangle, 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 hollow up pointing triangle. I noticed that all 5 skill slots were now filled. It brought back memories of when I had only the Save and Reset skill at the beginning. By the way, I displayed the number of skill points I currently had and the number of skill points needed to level up. Hollow down pointing triangle, 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 hollow down pointing triangle. Current skill points, 14. Open angle bracket provocation level 1 close angle bracket remaining skill points for level up, 10. Open angle bracket swordsmanship level 1 close angle bracket remaining skill points for level up, 30. Open angle bracket attribute bestowal level 1 close angle bracket remaining skill points for level up, 50. Open angle bracket parasitic sword puppeteer master level 1 close angle bracket remaining skill points for level up, 70. Hollow up pointing triangle, 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 hollow up pointing triangle. It appears that the number of points required to level up each skill varies. Open angle bracket provocation close angle bracket requires only 10 points to level up, while open angle bracket parasitic sword puppeteer master close angle bracket requires a substantial 70 points. Now, let's take a closer look at open angle bracket parasitic sword puppeteer master close angle bracket. Skill, parasitic sword puppeteer master level 1. Derived skills level 1. Black blade level 2. This skill, open angle bracket parasitic sword puppeteer master level 1 close angle bracket, has derived skills, with open angle bracket black blade close angle bracket being the first one available. The second derived skill is currently unknown. Let's focus on the section that says, level 2 rightwards double arrow. Could it be that by raising the level further, you can obtain additional derived skills? That's intriguing. I'm genuinely curious about what kind of derived skills can be obtained by leveling up. However, to reach level 2, it requires a hefty 70 skill points, so it might have to wait for now. How did it go? Judite, who had been waiting for me, inquired. Well, I think I want to start by leveling up my open angle bracket swordsmanship close angle bracket skill, so I'll try to save up my skill points until I have 30. Indeed, that's the safest choice. With the plan set, I began hunting monsters to further accumulate skill points. Chapter 29 It's exquisite. Ever since becoming a disciple of the vampire Judite, my life took a strange turn. She had created several hideouts within the dungeon, and depending on her mood for the day, she would choose where to sleep. However, each hideout had only one bed, so we slept separately in different hideouts. As for her dietary habits, being a vampire, she favored blood. But it didn't necessarily have to be human blood, apparently, she could enjoy monster blood just as much. So, after hunting monsters, she would drain their blood and drink it. Alright, the blood is ready. Since becoming her disciple, my job was to provide her with monster blood. I would carefully pour the blood, squeezed from the meat, into a teacup and offer it to her. Well, you always go through so much trouble. When I first saw it, her teacup contained blood, not tea. It seemed that Judite had a preference for drinking blood from a teacup. It truly is exquisite. She said so and, grabbing the teacup's handle, emptied it. Her face wore an expression of satisfaction. Honestly, I had never had any desire to drink blood, but she made it look so delicious. Kiska, is tonight's dinner ready? Well, I've just grilled some monster meat. Vampire Judite can apparently maintain her health as long as she can drink blood. However, not having a regular meal leaves her feeling hungry. It's steak made from monster meat. It seems it's similar to what we had yesterday. Well, I can't help it. We're running low on seasoning. No matter what, it ends up being the same. In the dungeon, monster meat wasn't scarce, but we lacked the seasonings to flavor it. Therefore, the cooking was straightforward. Grill the meat, season it with pepper, and it's done. We used magic stones, which could be easily obtained from monsters, as fuel for the fire. Also, I defeated the crawling tree dryad today, so there's a salad. Ew, I can't say I'm fond of salads made from crawling tree dryads. It's necessary, you need to eat vegetables to avoid malnutrition. But I'm a vampire, so nutrition is irrelevant to me. Well, in that case, I'll eat it alone. In reality, vampires seemed to have no nutritional issues as long as they drank blood. However, for a human like me, consuming vegetables was crucial. In the closed environment of the dungeon, the diet was inevitably skewed toward monster meat. The solution to this was the crawling tree dryad, a savior that could provide some variety. Crawling tree dryads had plenty of leaves on their branches, which provided the essential vitamins often lacking in my diet. However, these leaves were incredibly bitter and unpleasant. Occasionally, there were crawling tree dryads that bore fruit. If we happened to find one with fruits, it would lead to a rivalry with Judite. I once had a terrible experience with that. It really doesn't taste good, does it? Well, it's because we're running low on seasonings. If only we had some cheese or tomato sauce, we could enjoy a much more varied cuisine. If we could go outside the dungeon, we might be able to get the seasonings we need. Judite had mentioned previously that she hadn't been outside the dungeon for nearly 50 years. As a result, the furniture in the hideouts had been acquired 50 years ago and had deteriorated in places. Still, it's quite challenging to leave the dungeon as things stand. Once, Judite-sama was able to freely come and go from the dungeon, right? Yes, that's correct. Inside the dungeon, you never get to see the sun, and the dampness suited vampires well. But why can't you leave the dungeon now? Someone destroyed the teleportation array. A teleportation array. Suddenly, the teleportation array that had been the reason for me entering this dungeon came to mind. The teleportation array connected from the outside to the entire dungeon, but it was a one-way passage, and you couldn't use it to leave the dungeon. There was a secret teleportation array that allowed me to move freely between the inside and outside of the dungeon. I used it to come and go freely. There was something like that. Yes, it was a secret teleportation array that only I knew about, but 50 years ago, someone destroyed it. Thanks to that, I got stranded inside the dungeon like this. Is it really that difficult to defeat the dungeon boss and leave? Yes, it is. I can't defeat it on my own. So, even a vampire like Judite can't defeat this monster. I wonder what kind of creature it is. Do you have any idea who might have destroyed the teleportation array? No, I have no clue. Judite muttered in a resigned tone. The teleportation array had been destroyed by someone. What could have been their motive for destroying it? No, I have one possible lead, she said, as if recalling something. I suspect it might be the one who sealed Agatha in this dungeon. To ensure Agatha couldn't escape from this dungeon, they destroyed the teleportation array just to be safe. As soon as the word Agatha left her lips, my heart began to race. Do you know Agatha, Judite-sama? Actually, I'm surprised that you know about Agatha. Her deeds date back quite a while. She wore a curious expression. I've heard a little about her in rumors. There's a story about a girl sealed in this dungeon. Well, she's quite a remarkable figure. Is that so? Yes, she's the hero who defeated the Demon King. Upon hearing those words, I was shocked. The story of the Demon King being defeated by a hero over 100 years ago is common knowledge among humans. Wait, I've never heard of a hero named Agatha. In the history I know, the one who defeated the Demon King is said to be a hero named Iligen. And it's not just me, the name of Iligen is a famous one known by all humans in this world. Kiska, is something wrong? No, it's just that the history I know is different. In my country, it's said that the Demon King was defeated by a hero named Iligen. Iligen. I've never heard that name. Well, I've heard that there were several heroes, so maybe he was one of them. By the way, why is Agatha sealed in this dungeon? It had been something I had been curious about for a while. Why was Agatha sealed in this dungeon? I don't know that much about it. But I suppose it might have been due to human conflicts, and she got sealed away for some reason. Well, she's a vampire detached from the human world, so it's understandable if she doesn't know. However, I have one piece of advice. Please, never attempt to release her seal. I can't even begin to imagine what might happen. I had no idea why the vampire Judite was saying this. Understood, I won't do anything to release her. I nodded in agreement. Chapter 30 Erotic. From then on, the days of training with the vampire Judite continued for several months. Skill points were used. The necessary conditions for leveling up were achieved. The skill, swordsmanship, has leveled up. Skill points continued to accumulate smoothly, and the skill, swordsmanship, had finally reached level 3. At this rate, the day you and I can escape from this dungeon may be getting closer. Sometimes, the vampire Judite would express thoughts like this. Yes, if I become stronger, I'll take you outside, Judite-sama. Hee, you've started saying that too. Saying that, Judite laughed. Over the past few months, I felt like we had become quite close. Then, I will be the one to disassemble the monsters today, I said. With that, I reduced the size of the parasitic sword puppeteer to something like a small knife and began the disassembly work. What used to be a difficult task for me at first was now a piece of cake. I'm always making you do the disassembly. No, I'm Judite-sama's disciple, so I have to do this. Is that so? Well then, I'll go back to the nearby hideout first. Understood. Saying that, Judite headed to the hideout alone. I had become quite familiar with the internal structure of this dungeon, so naturally, I knew the locations of all the hideouts. I wonder if this is enough. I muttered as I finished the disassembly work. I properly squeezed the blood Judite-sama would drink into a special pod. Then, I headed towards the hideout with the disassembled meat and the pod of blood in my hand. Oh, you're back so soon. Inside the hideout, there was Judite-sama, completely naked. That's right, naked. It seemed like she was in the middle of changing her clothes, as she was holding something like a sheet in her hand. Her nearly transparent white skin, her well-endowed bosom, her long, silky hair, and her sharp, red eyes were all evenly distributed, creating an astonishingly beautiful sight, almost like a work of art. So, for a few seconds, I was captivated by her naked body. Then I realized I was doing something very inappropriate. Sorry. So, I quickly averted my gaze from her and left the hideout. Kiska. Judite-sama called my name, and I had a premonition that I might be scolded. You have quite an amusing reaction. Contrary to my expectations, she wore a mischievous smile, as if she had seen something funny. Give me a break. I had no choice but to say that, and she chuckled as if she found it even more amusing. Judite-sama, I'm going to sleep now. There's only one bed in the hideout. So, when it's time to sleep, we always go to separate hideouts and sleep in our respective beds. Hey, Kiska, won't you sleep with me tonight? So, when Judite-sama said that, I initially thought I must be hearing things. Well, what's the reason for this sudden change? Nothing special, really. I just felt like it today. If there's no particular reason, then I'll sleep in a separate hideout as usual. Kiska, you're being more stubborn than usual today. She said this with a sulky expression. To be honest, it felt unfair, considering she looked so cute. If I didn't comply, I'd probably feel guilty for a long time. Okay, I get it. Let's sleep together tonight. So, we would just sleep together. There was nothing sinister about it. While thinking this, I lay down next to her. It feels like the day we first met was a long time ago. Yes, it does. When we first met, I only saw Judite as a frightening presence. Now, lying next to her, it felt like a strange experience. Judite-sama, you initially wanted to kill me, right? Oh, you found out, did you? That's what she said. She probably thinks I can see through her heart, but in reality, I only know that because I've been killed by her multiple times. But please forgive me. All the people I've met so far wanted to kill me as soon as they saw me. That's why I've been cautious. It's not like I hold a grudge. I've been killed by her many times. However, I owe my current self to her. So, instead of holding a grudge, I should be grateful. Well, it did seem like she enjoyed killing a bit too much for mere caution. It makes me feel relieved when you say that. Is that so? Hey, Kiska, she said that and locked her gaze with mine while gently placing her hand on my cheek. I was drawn into her stunning, translucent eyes. She was extraordinarily beautiful. What did you think when you saw me naked? Saying this, she cracked a mischievous smile. I immediately realized she was teasing me. I thought you were beautiful. Anything else? I thought you were, well, beautiful. Anything else? Cute. Is there anything else? Erotic. You're a pervert, she whispered in my ear. I felt my face turning red. Why did I have to go through this embarrassing ordeal? Please don't tease me. Oh, I'm sorry. She said that and continued to laugh. Her laughter sounded like the tinkle of a bell. Hey, what would you say if I told you I'll show you again? What do you mean? You should know what I mean. With a pause, she slowly said. I mean, my naked body. I unconsciously realized that a long night was about to begin. Chapter 31. Don't mess around. I mean, my naked body. She said that, and it took me a few seconds to realize that my thoughts had come to a halt. If I say I want to see it, would you really show it to me? Well, yes, I suppose. Belatedly, she seemed to blush slightly, as if she was feeling embarrassed. On the other hand, I observed the current situation somewhat detached from it, as if it were happening to someone else. What came to mind were two individuals, my beloved Namia and the suicide of Agatha. Having Namia in my heart, I couldn't help but feel some resistance in this situation. But if I rejected her, I couldn't help but fear that something similar to Agatha might happen again. So, in this situation, what should I do? Hey, Judite-sama, do you remember when we first met? What's that got to do with anything? Because I have a purpose, you see. Ah, yes, I remember. When we first met, I had mentioned my desire for revenge against the villagers. She found it amusing. I don't think my current life is so bad. Even though we couldn't leave the dungeon, our situation didn't amount to real hardship. If I had to point out a complaint, it would be the mediocre food. So that's why I'm afraid. Afraid, you say. If I continue this comfortable life as it is, my desire for revenge might fade away. Back when I was relentlessly slaughtered by the armored bear bugbear, I cursed my fate. I resented the villagers who had brought me into this situation so much. But how about now? I've become strong enough to defeat monsters, and there's even a cute girl nearby. If I continue to indulge in this life, it's almost too comfortable, to the point where I might forget about my revenge. I like you, Judite-sama. But I'm sorry. Right now, we can't have that kind of relationship. This is the best compromise I can make for now. The word, like, isn't a lie either. I genuinely believe I like the vampire Judite. But to move forward, I need to resolve several issues. I see. She had an understanding expression. That's a relief. It seems like she really understood me. Then, we'll continue after your revenge is finished. As she said that, she put me in a position where she could be covered and kissed me. It was a long kiss. I think. Our lips were locked for nearly a minute. Please stop. I won't be able to resist. It's not like I mind continuing like this. In my line of sight, I could see Judite's cleavage. It was truly captivating. Don't tempt me like this. So, you're saying that looking at my body excites you, huh? Saying that, Judite leaned on top of me, her body weight pressing against me. I could feel her warmth, and her soft areas pressing against my body. I like you, Kiska. Saying that, she kissed me again. When I looked into Judite's eyes, I became certain. Her eyes were clearly showing that she was in the mood. Even though I didn't feel the same way, she certainly did. I concluded that if I let her continue without resistance, she would definitely make a move. Thinking that, I tried to pull her away with both of my hands. Stop, please. I said that. But she was much stronger than me. So my resistance was completely futile. Even if you say that with this big thing here, it's not convincing at all. She said that and wore a fierce grin. The shape of her eyes was undoubtedly that of a carnivorous beast. It's no use. At this rate, I'll be overwhelmed by her. Then I heard a sound like beheading. At the same time, a large amount of blood dyed my face red. Damn it. That was the voice of a third party. Don't mess around. Don't mess around. Endless voices of resentment continued. Each word was filled with grudges. Why is it that Agatha is bad, and she is okay? The girl who shouted like that glared at Judite. Agatha. Yes, right in front of me was Agatha herself. Why is Agatha in front of me? She was supposed to be sealed and unable to move. No, that's not it. There was a time when she was there. When she gave me the skill, save and reset, she appeared before me as a shadow. Even now, it seems like her figure is clearer and has more substance than it was at that time, but her existence is somewhat vague and ghostly. If someone were to call her a ghost, I would believe it, her presence is so uncertain. Kiska, please run away. She's dangerous. I heard Judite's cry. Looking at her, her head and body were completely separated, and her head was rolling on the ground. Even so, her head was still talking. Truly, it could be said that a vampire's vitality allows them to maintain their life even when only their head is left. Shut up. However, as if to add insult to injury, Agatha approached Judite's head and swung her large sword. She kept swinging it down many times, smashing Judite's skull into tiny pieces to ensure she was dead. Before I knew it, the scene had turned into something horrific. I couldn't do anything. The sudden turn of events left me unable to keep up with my thoughts. What should I do? Kiska, I love you, she murmured, looking at me. Her eyes seemed somewhat vacant. Her expression was so mismatched with the words, I love you. That's why I won't allow you to be with other women. My vision grew dim. It was only when I realized that Agatha had hurled a blade towards me that I had already drawn my last breath. Chapter 32. Are you okay? The sensation that forcefully awakens upon experiencing a return from death. No matter how many times I experienced it, I never got used to this feeling. To what point in time did I return? As I thought, I checked my surroundings. Behind me, there were numerous corpses of the armored bear bugbears. My breath was labored. This revealed that the battle had just concluded. This can't be true. I didn't want to believe it. Could it be that everything from the past few months spent with the vampire Judite had just vanished? Was that really the case? I tried to verify by opening the status screen. Kiska. Skill 1, Save and Reset. Skill 2, Provocation LV.1. Skill 3, None. Skill 4, None. Skill 5, None. Until just now, all 5 skills were filled, but now they are gone. I don't want this, I don't want this. For the past few months, all the effort I had put in seemed to be for nothing. I didn't want to believe that. For a few minutes, I stood there in shock, tears streaming down my face. I wanted to question what all the time I had spent until now had been for. The time I had spent with Judite passed before my eyes like a flickering image, and it had all returned to nothing. That's right, I should go see her. Muttering to myself, I started walking unsteadily. I was going to see the vampire Judite. Perhaps she might remember me. Vampire Juti had set up a table and chairs in the middle of the dungeon corridor, holding a teacup. It's okay to lose skills. Even if I lose the skill points I had accumulated by defeating monsters, I can still endure. At least, if she remembered me. Oh, how unusual. Intruders entering this place, she said when she saw me, and at that moment, I realized. She had forgotten all the months we had spent together. Judite-sama, it's Kiska. Do you remember me? But with a faint glimmer of hope, I spoke those words. Maybe, if I told her my name, she would remember something, even a little. Well, I'm sorry, but I don't have the slightest recollection of acquaintances like you, she said, and that was all she said. The moment I realized all hope was lost, tears welled up in my eyes naturally. I had to start all over again, from the beginning. It's no use. My spirit is on the verge of breaking. I feel so drained that I want to throw everything away. Are you, all right? I looked up, and Judite-sama was standing there. Her eyes were somewhat puzzled, and yet, she couldn't just leave me be, so reluctantly, she spoke. The great vampire Judite-sama, I have a request. That's right, I've done this countless times before. No matter how many times my spirit has been broken, I've still stood up. I'm not allowed to stop until I've completed my revenge. So, I'll start over from scratch once again. Please take me as your disciple. Saying that, I lowered my head. I wonder how she'll react. Maybe the vampire Judite will even kill me. Nevertheless, no matter how many times, I will come here. Quote ellipsis 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 quote. Silence continued for a few seconds. No response. Thinking it was strange, I lifted my head. Blood was gushing. Someone had severed the head of vampire Judite from behind with a blade. As Judite's body fell to the side, a figure appeared from behind. It was Agatha. "If you get close to other women, I won't forgive you," she muttered, then swung the blade at me. I died. Damn it. I cursed as I experienced death again. What could I have done differently? What's this about not forgiving me if I get close to other women? I don't understand the meaning. Fine, I get it. I'll make it through this dungeon on my own. Don't lose your purpose, Kiska. My goal is to conquer this dungeon and exact revenge on the villagers. Vampire Judite is just one means to that end. With my current capabilities, I should be able to make it through this dungeon on my own, without relying on the power of Vampire Judite. So, for now, I'll focus on moving forward. Chapter 33. I decide to follow you. The time spent with Vampire Judite was intense. I've learned countless things from her. The general layout of the dungeon, the location of her hideout, secret passages and hidden rooms, as well as the locations of treasure chests where I can obtain skills. I've also learned her way of fighting with a sword. The most significant knowledge was how to control the parasitic sword puppeteer. Even though the relationship with Judite has ended, the knowledge she shared hasn't disappeared. I immediately used a teleportation circle that led to the location where the parasitic sword puppeteer was stored. If I remember correctly, I shouldn't grasp the hilt. Grasping the hilt would result in my body being taken over, so I held onto the sword's blade instead. Then, I inserted the sword's blade into the back of my throat. As soon as I placed the parasitic sword puppeteer inside my body, my consciousness was interrupted. Yes, it was the same feeling as last time. When I opened my eyes, I found myself in a space of the otherworld. If I recall correctly, it's called the Deep World. Hey, nice to meet you, I guess. Why is that? I feel like I've met you somewhere before. Before me, the parasitic sword puppeteer stood. The appearance of the parasitic sword puppeteer is quite peculiar, with body parts like eyes, ears, and a mouth randomly scattered in a hazy darkness. I have a favor to ask. Can you lend me your power? I remember that last time, when I asked like this, it readily agreed. What should I do? So when the parasitic sword puppeteer showed a hesitant gesture, I felt a bit anxious. What's the problem? Well, you see, I also have a purpose, and I was thinking if I follow you, can I achieve that purpose? What's your purpose? Becoming human, the parasitic sword puppeteer asserted. I think that by parasitizing a person and taking over their body, I might become human. So, if I control you, can you not become human? Well, who knows? I've parasitized many humans before, but I've never become human myself. Maybe, surprisingly, being under your control could get me closer to being human. So, it's okay for me to own you. Yeah, it's fine. I sense something fateful about you. Surprisingly, it seems quite willing to listen. I've decided to follow you. The moment the parasitic sword puppeteer declared this, the deep world began to crumble, and before I knew it, I found myself standing in the dungeon corridor where I had been just a moment ago. You have acquired the skill, Parasitic Sword Puppeteer Master. You have acquired the derived skill, Black Blade. A message window appeared. With this, I had successfully gained the ability to control the Parasitic Sword Puppeteer. After that, I took action to acquire 2 skills. When I was with Judite, she would defeat the monsters we encountered. However, this time, I had to act alone. I needed to be cautious to avoid fighting monsters as much as possible, but when it was necessary, I would use Black Blade to defeat them. Confirm the defeat of a monster. Obtain skill points. Phew. Having successfully defeated the monster, I took a breath. When I had the swordsmanship skill at level 3, it was easier to defeat them. Nevertheless, I was still able to put my experience in handling a sword to good use, so all the training I had done wasn't in vain. Afterward, I headed towards a hidden room with a treasure chest. I remember that pushing a certain part of the wall here should reveal a hidden passage. As expected, the seemingly ordinary wall opened, and a passage appeared when I pushed it. Moving straight ahead, I found a treasure chest. When I opened the chest, I obtained a Crystal of Wisdom, and a list of available skills was displayed. You have acquired the skill, Swordsmanship. Just like last time, I acquired the swordsmanship skill. Alright, next is the other crystal of wisdom. The other crystal of wisdom provides a random skill when used. Last time, I obtained the attribute bestowal skill with this item. However, I never actually got the chance to use the attribute bestowal skill. So, come to think of it, I don't have to use it immediately, I can save it for later. The crystal of wisdom is in a chest in the room just before the room with the boss. So, it will take time and carry some risk to retrieve it. There's no need to force myself to get it right away. Instead, I decided to focus on leveling up the swordsmanship skill for now. Chapter 34. Were you able to speak? Then, solo training began inside the dungeon. After starting to act alone, there were several things I had to be careful about. First, I must not encounter the vampire Judite. If I were to meet Judite in my current unfamiliar state, there is a possibility I could be killed. Even if I manage to get along with Judite, the next threat might be the vengeful spirit of Agatha. Either way, it would be a dire situation, so it's best not to meet. Therefore, I need to be cautious to avoid Judite, use the hideout, and focus on subduing monsters. Skill points have been used. The conditions required for leveling up have been met. The skill, swordsmanship, has leveled up. After half a day of special training, I had already successfully raised my swordsmanship skill to level 2. This efficiency is terrible, I muttered. The boss of this dungeon seems to be so powerful that not even the vampire Judite can defeat it. This means that I need to become stronger than Judite at the very least to defeat the boss. At this rate, it won't work. If I continue leveling up at this pace, I have a feeling I won't become strong enough to defeat the dungeon's boss no matter how much time passes. I need to come up with a more efficient way to earn skill points. It seems like you're in some kind of trouble. Huh, I was suddenly called out too, which surprised me. I hastily looked around, but there was no one there. Master, I'm right here, a voice said, emanating from the black blade I held in my hand. The black blade was one of the forms of the parasitic sword puppeteer, which meant that the puppeteer was the one speaking. You can talk. I was honestly surprised because I had never been spoken to like this while using the puppeteer. Well, I'm a bit surprised too. I thought it would take a bit more time for me to be able to talk. Maybe your soul and I get along quite well. I see, is that it? I pondered another possibility aside from what the puppeteer was claiming. Perhaps all the times I had used the puppeteer had somehow accumulated and resulted in its ability to speak like this. So, Master, what's troubling you? Since thinking about the cause of the puppeteer's newfound ability to speak wouldn't lead me anywhere, I shifted my focus to the problem I was currently facing. Well, I want to earn skill points more efficiently. Do you know of any good methods? Oh, if that's the case, I know the location of a hidden room where you can earn skill points more efficiently. Really, even the vampire Judite had never mentioned the existence of such a hidden room. For now, I'll guide you to the location, so please follow my instructions, Master. With the guidance of the puppeteer, I walked through the dungeon. It seemed that the location for efficiently earning skill points was on a higher floor than the place Judite, the vampire, considered her base. I think if you touch the walls around here, a hidden room will appear, the puppeteer said. With that information in mind, I began to randomly touch the nearby walls. I felt a solid sensation, like pressing a switch, and a door leading to the hidden room appeared with a sound. Why did you know about this place? Oh, the previous master stumbled upon it. I see, that explanation made sense. However, it was surprising that there was still a hidden room that even the vampire Judite didn't know about. Master, I'll give you a word of warning. I know what kind of creatures are waiting in this room, and honestly, with your current abilities, you'll definitely be killed. I see, thanks for the warning. Saying that, I entered the hidden passage. It's surprising, you didn't hesitate at all to enter. Well, I'm used to being killed. Haha, that's a dull joke. Maybe so. Saying that, I secretly made a vow. No matter how many times I had to die, I would defeat the creatures lurking in this hidden room. Chapter 35. Let's do it. Master. Walking through the hidden passage, I arrived in what appeared to be an empty room. Just as I turned around, a rumbling sound was heard, and the entrance I had just passed through was sealed. It seemed like I was trapped. "Master, they're here," the puppeteer called out, and multiple teleportation circles appeared on the ground. "Kugu. Master, these are the golden unmanned armor, the golden living armor, which can earn you a massive amount of skill points." Looking around, the room was filled with numerous golden unmanned golden living armors. There were roughly about 20 of them. If I recall correctly, ordinary living armor is considered a Class A difficulty monster and is slightly stronger than the armored bear bugbear that I had struggled with in the past. Given that, it would be reasonable to assume that the golden unmanned golden living armor was even stronger than the regular living armor. The golden living armor wielded a one-handed sword that gleamed with a golden sheen. So, it seemed like I would need to approach this battle with caution. "Black blade," I shouted and gripped the puppeteer, which had transformed into a sword. With that, I leapt into the group of golden living armor and narrowly dodged their attacks. "Hey, pay attention and attack properly," I said that and used provocation. As a result, the golden living armor leapt at me recklessly. I dodged their attack, and a friendly fire incident occurred as one golden living armor attacked another. "Well done, Master," the puppeteer praised. "Believe it or not, I'm confident in group combat." It seemed that my experience of fighting numerous armored bear bugbears came in handy in a situation like this. "Hey, you small fries, come at me from anywhere." Facing a large number of golden living armor, I used provocation. "All right, let's begin. Time for some small fry hunting," I said with determination, but a few seconds later, I got stabbed from behind and died. Well, I didn't expect to succeed on the first try, so it's not a big deal. The timing at which I, killed by the golden living armor, returned to life and woke up remained unchanged from where I had finished the armored bear bugbear's battle. At that point, I hadn't acquired the parasitic sword puppeteer, so I needed to take action to obtain it again. "All right, I'll follow my master." The puppeteer had always obediently listened to what I said, so I didn't have any trouble in that regard. First, I collected the chest containing the Crystal of Wisdom, and acquired the Swordsmanship skill. I then leveled up the Swordsmanship skill from level 1 to level 2. I knew that defeating 3 monsters would accumulate the skill points needed to reach level 2. With a few hours to spare, I quickly completed this task. So far, this was all the preparation I needed to finish before entering the hidden room. "Hey, you seem quite knowledgeable, knowing about this hidden passage." "Well, yeah." As soon as I opened the hidden passage, the puppeteer said that, and I nodded in agreement. "I'm counting on you, puppeteer." "Sure, leave it to me." We ventured into the room with numerous golden living armor, only to Chapter 36 more human-like than I expected. I wonder how many times I've died so far. To be honest, I haven't kept an accurate count, so I don't remember, but based on my vague recollection, I think I had died around 540 times before starting the battle with the golden living armor. Since beginning the conquest of the golden living armor with the parasitic sword puppeteer, I've died another 9 times. So, the total number of deaths is roughly 549. In other words, this attempt is the 550th. "Puppeteer," I said, "lend me your strength." It was another negotiation that had occurred countless times. "Sure thing, master," the puppeteer responded cheerfully. Is something bothering you, master?" Suddenly, I had a thought, so I was lost in contemplation, and the puppeteer gazed at me curiously. "No, I just realize how human-like you've become." When I first saw the puppeteer, it had a rather uncanny and non-human appearance, but now, I wondered how it looked. It seemed as if its silhouette was imitating a human form. Yes, with each meeting, the puppeteer appeared to be getting closer to a human appearance. I wasn't originally in this form. I started changing suddenly, the puppeteer noted, also seeming perplexed by the transformation. What could this mean? Save and reset is supposed to reset time, which should rewind everything. However, the puppeteer is gradually becoming more human with each encounter. This contradicts the idea of time rewinding. Could it be that the puppeteer's growth is somehow escaping the rewind of save and reset? But there's no point in thinking about it further. Is your goal to become more human? If so, that's a good thing, right? Master, how did you know about my dream? Just by looking at someone, I can understand their ambitions. Oh, I don't really get it, but it's kind of amazing. In truth, I only knew because I had heard it before. It's quite a coincidence that you knew about the existence of this hidden room, Master. It's as if you were aware of it too, with the way you phrase it. Well, you know, despite how I look, I'm quite knowledgeable. That's good to know. As a knowledgeable guy, here's a piece of advice. With your current abilities, you'll die as soon as you enter this room. Unfortunately, I already knew that. Having a death wish, huh? You're quite the unique master. As the puppeteer and I exchanged banter, I entered the hidden room. As I did, a total of 20 golden living armor appeared. Black blade. Instantly, a black blade materialized in my right hand. When I thought about it calmly, I realized that I had faced more challenging battles when dealing with a group of 10 armored bear bugbears. At that time, I had no weapons and no proper skills. I had overcome that dire situation, so it would be strange if I couldn't handle the enemies in front of me. Hey, you small fries, come at me. I used provocation on all the golden living armor. As expected, they all rushed forward. 3 seconds later, I stepped to the right, avoiding their attacks. Then, I reversed my body and swung the sword downward from above. This allowed me to follow up with an attack on the golden living armor that had been engaged in friendly fire. Yep, everything went exactly as planned. Confirmed the defeat of monsters, 1 down. Wow, amazing, Master. Your movements are like you're predicting the enemy's every move. I really am predicting them. Could it be that you, Master, possess the power of precognition? With a conversation with the provocation kept to a minimum, I set out to defeat the monsters. Hey, what are you all so scared of? The target is right here. The battle has only just begun. Chapter 37. I acquired a derived skill. Confirmed the defeat of monsters. Acquired skill points. I had just defeated the second golden living armor. Watch out. Before I could hear the puppeteers shout, I had already crouched. With a swoosh, the golden living armor swung its sword horizontally where I had been just a moment ago. Swiftly, I pivoted on my right leg, causing the golden living armor to tumble. Die. I thrust my sword into the fallen golden living armor. Confirmed the defeat of monsters. Acquired skill points. Alright, I've successfully defeated the third one. Without wasting any time, I step backward. In 4 seconds, an attack will come from my left, so I step to the right to evade it and quickly open the status screen. Current skill points, 312. Open angle bracket provocation LV. 1 close angle bracket remaining skill points for level up, 10. Open angle bracket swordsmanship LV. 2 close angle bracket remaining skill points for level up, 300. Open angle bracket parasitic sword puppeteer master LV. 1 close angle bracket remaining skill points for level up, 70. Just defeating 3 of them allows me to upgrade open angle bracket swordsmanship close angle bracket to level 3. Considering that it took me over a month to reach level 3 in open angle bracket swordsmanship close angle bracket while diligently leveling up with vampire Judite, it's clear that this is incredibly efficient. Skill points have been used. You have met the requirements for leveling up. Open angle bracket swordsmanship close angle bracket has leveled up. I cautiously level up to level 3 while staying vigilant against attacks. Hey, Master, while leveling up open angle bracket swordsmanship close angle bracket is great, I'd really appreciate it if you could level up open angle bracket parasitic sword puppeteer master close angle bracket. Sure, I'll level it up when I have enough skill points next time. Come to think of it, I've never raised open angle bracket parasitic sword puppeteer master close angle bracket to level 2 even once. Leveling it up to 2 should grant me access to derivative skills, and I'm genuinely looking forward to discovering what those skills might be. With open angle bracket swordsmanship close angle bracket now at level 3, my movements become more refined. I believe I can defeat them by leaping and thrusting the sword downward from above. Confirm the defeat of a monster. Acquired skill points. 4th monster defeated. This is the first time I've taken down 4 of them in one go. Immediately, I open my status screen and this time, I level up open angle bracket parasitic sword puppeteer master close angle bracket to level 2. Skill points have been consumed. You've met the requirements for leveling up. Skill open angle bracket parasitic sword puppeteer master close angle bracket has leveled up. Woohoo! I'm overflowing with power, the puppeteer exclaims. Simultaneously, light emanates from the sword I'm holding. Obtain the derivative skill open angle bracket pulsating greatsword close angle bracket. Open angle bracket pulsating greatsword close angle bracket. What's that? Well, there's no reason not to try it, I think. So I activate the skill. Open angle bracket pulsating greatsword close angle bracket. The moment I say that, my open angle bracket black blade close angle bracket changes its form. It takes on the appearance of an eerie greatsword. All over the greatsword, shadowy arms sprout and reach out to grasp my own arms. Heavy. It's incredibly heavy, and I can't even lift it, let alone swing it in battle. Return to open angle bracket black blade close angle bracket. I immediately give this command to the puppeteer. No, master. I have a unique ability now. A unique ability. I then listen to the puppeteer explain its unique ability. I see, it's actually quite a useful ability. With the puppeteer now at level 2, it's time to go for round 2. Chapter 38 I'll take it. The skill points obtained from defeating a single golden living armor in the golden room have a difference of 10 times compared to regular monsters. This means that in this hidden room, I can grow 10 times faster. With a clattering sound, the golden living armors move towards me, making their approach. Puppeteer, please. Of course. The puppeteer responds with a high-pitched voice. Puppetry sword technique, swift dragon thrust. The unique ability of the open angle bracket pulsating greatsword close angle bracket is called autonomous function. It allows the greatsword to move itself, pulling me along. Thanks to this ability, even though it's too heavy to swing on my own, the sword can move itself, making fighting much easier. When I think back to the time when the puppeteer took control of me, it had been pulling my body all over the place. Given that, it seems only natural to have this unique ability. The swift dragon thrust is a powerful forward charge attack. The golden living armors in its path are cut in half and meet their demise. Well done, master. Yeah, you too. It's not a bad feeling. With this power, I might actually stand a chance. Kugu. Suddenly, an unfamiliar roar echoed. There it is. This is the real deal in this room, master, the puppeteer mutters. In front of us stands a creature we've never seen before. It must have appeared through the teleportation array. The Driven Living Knight, a SSS rank monster. It's a creature with an especially large suit of armor mounted on a horse. It wields an enormous lance. It seems like the Driven Living Knight is the boss of this room. Can we defeat it? That depends on you, master, the puppeteer replies, and I nod in agreement. Then, I tighten my grip on the hilt of the open angle bracket pulsating greatsword close angle bracket. Puppet sword technique, wind slasher scythe. I sweep the open angle bracket pulsating greatsword close angle bracket horizontally, destroying numerous golden living armor in front of me. Master, enemies are coming from behind. Got it. My puppeteer, who seems capable of assessing the surrounding situation, informs me. In response, I swing the greatsword vigorously. The fierce battle with the golden living armor continues. With the power of my level 2 puppeteer, level 3 open angle bracket swordsmanship close angle bracket skill, and my own ability to predict the movements of monsters, it feels like there's no enemy we can't defeat. There's only you left. In front of me, countless carcasses of golden living armor are strewn about. Further inside, the boss of this room, the Driven Living Knight, stands before us. I leap high into the air, raising the open angle bracket pulsating greatsword close angle bracket high. Puppet sword technique, grand wheel slash. I rotate in midair and use the momentum to slam down into the ground. Crunch, the Driven Living Knight, is crushed as if it were squashed. I notice a message that says, confirm the defeat of the monsters. You've gained skill points. Did you defeat them? I'm actually puzzled by how easily I defeated them. Good job, master. Hey, does this mean you've accumulated enough skill points to level me up to level 3? Yeah, that might be the case. Returning to reality with Puppeteer's words, I open the status screen to check my skill points. Current skill points, 1320. Less than provocation level 1 greater than remaining skill points required for leveling up, 10. Less than swordsmanship level 3 greater than remaining skill points required for leveling up, 3000. Less than parasitic sword puppeteer master level 2 greater than remaining skill points required for leveling up, 700. It's sufficient to level up less than parasitic sword puppeteer master greater than to level 3. Since there's no need to hold back, I'll level up right away. Skill points have been used. The necessary conditions for leveling up have been achieved. The skill less than parasitic sword puppeteer master greater than has leveled up. Now, I can evolve even further. Less than pulsating great sword greater than began to emit even more light. I see, when I reached level 2, I acquired a derived skill called less than pulsating great sword greater than. So, now that I've reached level 3, it seems I'll gain a new skill as well. I wonder what kind of derived skill I'll get. It's something to look forward to. Acquire the derived skill less than ruthless predator greater than. Ruthless predator. I can't quite imagine what kind of skill that is from the name alone. Here it is, this. This form is what I've been looking for. While shouting this, Puppeteer tried to change its form. It gradually grew larger and became even bulkier. What is that form? I was puzzled because level 3 Puppeteer had an appearance that was far from suitable to be called a weapon. A huge creature with a large jaw. Would that be the most fitting description? However, even the term, creature, didn't quite fit. It had no limbs, no body, and no eyes or nose. It only had a large jaw as its semblance of a creature-like feature. So, calling it a creature felt too incomplete. It was as if it was created solely for the purpose of eating. Ah, that's why it's called a predator. I recall that the presence in front of me bears the name less than ruthless predator greater than. Hey, Puppeteer, with that form, what can you actually do? That's, of course, to eat. Puppeteer moved its massive jaw and spoke. Well, it was expected that its purpose was to eat, but I couldn't imagine at all how it would use that to fight. Well, here we go. Suddenly, Puppeteer said this. Hey, what are you talking about? I couldn't finish my sentence. That's because my body had just been devoured by less than ruthless predator greater than. The massive jaws of less than ruthless predator greater than crushed my body into pieces. Thank you, Master. With this, I can finally become human. When I heard those words, my consciousness had already disappeared. Chapter 39. There's no need to get it. I wake up. How did I die again? Oh, right, I was eaten by Puppeteer. Remembering that, a feeling of helplessness washes over my entire body. What should I have done? I need to become much stronger than I am now to escape this dungeon and exact my revenge. There's no need to acquire Puppeteer. Puppeteer is just one means for me to become stronger. But it's pointless if it ends with Puppeteer eating me. So, I should look for a way to become stronger without using Puppeteer. With this determination, I start to move. First, I head to the hidden room where the less than crystal of wisdom greater than is located. I mustn't be spotted by the numerous monsters along the way. If I'm found, I would be easily killed in my current state. Nevertheless, thanks to repeating this action many times, I'm able to smoothly proceed. Choose 1 skill you want to acquire from the following list. S rank, less than inventory box greater than less than enhanced healing greater than less than enhanced mana recovery greater than less than intimidation greater than less than anticipation greater than. A rank, less than healing magic greater than less than fire magic greater than less than water magic greater than less than wind magic greater than less than earth magic greater than less than lightning magic greater than less than alchemy greater than less than curse magic greater than less than telepathy greater than less than enhancement magic greater than. B rank, less than swordsmanship greater than less than archery greater than less than axemanship greater than less than lancemanship greater than. Less than body techniques greater than less than staff techniques greater than. C rank, less than physical enhancement greater than less than sensory perception greater than less than mana generation greater than less than fire resistance greater than less than water resistance greater than less than wind resistance greater than less than earth resistance greater than less than sharpness enhancement greater than less than accuracy enhancement greater than less than evasion enhancement greater than less than night vision greater than D rank, less than appraisal greater than less than strength enhancement greater than less than durability enhancement greater than less than agility enhancement greater than less than endurance enhancement greater than. Using the less than crystal of wisdom greater than will allow you to see a list of available skills. As usual, I consider selecting less than swordsmanship greater than, but wait a minute. Should I really choose less than swordsmanship greater than? I paused. I had always chosen less than swordsmanship greater than because of the presence of parasitic sword puppeteer. When I used puppeteer to fight, it was natural to choose less than swordsmanship greater than, which was compatible with it. But this time, I had no intention of acquiring puppeteer. In that case, I would be fighting without a sword. So, it would be better to choose less than body techniques greater than, which was well suited for combat when unarmed. Because, other than puppeteer, there was no other way to obtain a weapon. Well, if I think about it carefully, there are actually many chances to acquire weapons, aren't there? So, I chose less than swordsmanship greater than. Obtained skill less than swordsmanship greater than. As usual, I would have gone on to retrieve puppeteer, defeat several monsters, and level up less than swordsmanship greater than to level 2. But this time, I decided not to retrieve puppeteer. Since it would be tough to defeat monsters without it and with less than swordsmanship greater than at level 1, I also gave up on leveling it up to level 2. So, with less than swordsmanship greater than at level 1, I headed to the hidden room with the golden living armor. Hey, you weaklings, come at me. I use less than provocation greater than on the golden living armor. Then, I skillfully evade attacks to incite infighting among them. Crash. One of the golden living armor forcefully struck its sword against another golden living armor, causing it to fall and struggle to get back up. In that moment, I seized the sword from the fallen golden living armor. Come to think of it, I can easily acquire swords from these guys. The method to acquire swords was to take them from the golden living armor. As long as I could equip a sword, activating the less than swordsmanship greater than skill would make battles much easier. That's what I was thinking at this moment. Still, it's a tough fight. While I had expected things to be challenging to some extent, I never imagined it would be this difficult. Between puppeteer and the sword from the golden living armor, puppeteer was significantly more powerful. However, there was no point in complaining. Now that I couldn't use puppeteer, I had no choice but to fight with this sword. As I strained in the next moment, my back was suddenly slashed from behind. I felt the pain and simultaneously lost consciousness. Filled diamond. On approximately the 560th attempt, I challenged the room with the golden living armor without using puppeteer, over and over again. It's impossible. And after experiencing death for what felt like the umpteenth time, I finally let out a sound. I could somehow defeat up to 5 of the golden living armor. However, with this method, I honestly couldn't see a way to defeat all 20 of the golden living armor and the driven living knight. Maybe I really have no choice but to use puppeteer. But using it would mean being eaten. No, wait. I was eaten by puppeteer because I reached level 3 and acquired the derived skill less than ruthless predator greater than, which transformed it into a monstrous creature with a massive jaw. In that case, what if I deliberately stop at level 2? Allocating skill points was done according to my will. So, I could choose not to reach level 3. Moreover, the derived skill less than pulsating great sword greater than of a level 2 puppeteer was very useful. It would undoubtedly provide more than enough combat power even at level 2. Therefore, there was no need to unnecessarily push it to the dangerous level 3. Let's give it a try. With that decision, I headed to the location where parasitic sword puppeteer was kept. Chapter 40. I don't like it when people talk to me arrogantly. Parasitic sword puppeteer consumes the shadows, and departs for the deep world. Hey, what do you want with me? In the shape of a person, with body parts haphazardly attached, the enigmatic parasitic sword puppeteer says so and greets me. Help me with your power. Sure, I'll help. Let me be your strength. And the parasitic sword puppeteer readily agrees. Well, I don't know what it really thinks deep down. Maybe it's always waiting for a chance to devour me. After that, I repeat the process many times, like tracing a well-practiced routine. I obtain the Crystal of Wisdom from the hidden room, acquired swordsmanship, defeat a few monsters, and raise swordsmanship to level 2. I think everything is going smoothly. Oh, do you know there's a hidden room here, my master? Well, yeah. While exchanging this dialogue that I've done many times, I head towards the hidden room with the golden living armor. Then, I systematically subdue the golden living armor. As skill points accumulate, I raise Parasitic Sword Puppeteer Master to level 2 and unlock the derived skill, Pulsating Greatsword. Oh, it's amazing, Master. I never expected that you'd defeat everything. I'm truly astonished. Seemingly without realizing it, I had defeated all the monsters while swinging the Pulsating Greatsword in a trance. I have no choice but to acknowledge the power of the puppeteer. Hey, Master, use the remaining skill points to level me up to level 3. I refuse. I immediately break through. Why not? If I reach level 3, I'll become even more powerful. I can be more useful to you, Master. I could continue ignoring him, but that would be troublesome. So, I'll just say it. You seem to think you're not discovered, but I've noticed long ago. Once you reach level 3, you're planning to devour me, aren't you? As soon as I said this, the puppeteer fell into silence, as if lost in thought. Anyway, as long as I don't level up the puppeteer to level 3, it should be useful in battle. Thinking this, I tried to leave the room while dragging the Pulsating Greatsword. Ah, why do you have to figure it all out? Such a pain. The puppeteer began using rough language, as if revealing its true nature. How about you polish your act a little more? Annoying. I don't like it when people talk to me arrogantly. The puppeteer complained with dissatisfaction. Ha ha ha, never mind. Hey, Master, what is it? How are you feeling right now? What do you mean? Well, I was just curious. Maybe you're in a good mood, thinking you've outsmarted me. Well, I won't deny it. Okay then, I'm going to make you despair now. What are you talking about? Immediately after, something unusual happened. The Pulsating Greatsword began moving on its own. It moved my arm, which was holding the sword, without my consent. Before I knew it, the sword's tip was in a position as if it was about to hit my throat. I couldn't resist. I desperately tried to move my arm and pull the sword away from my neck, but the puppeteer was much stronger, and I couldn't resist at all. Come to think of it, this sword's unique ability was autonomy. Sweat trickled down my cheek. My breathing was heavy. If it decided to, the puppeteer could decapitate me at any moment. Having the power of life and death in someone else's hands is quite an unsettling feeling. So, how do you feel now? Asking how I feel, the puppeteer inquired. I feel the worst. Ha ha, I see. Since we're here, I'll let you choose. Would you like to die now, or later? If I choose to die now, I'd be beheaded right here. If I choose to die later, I'd likely be eaten by the ruthless predator. How about we negotiate? Suppressing my rising panic, I suggested. Negotiate. Your goal is to become human, right? So, even from your perspective, it wouldn't be amusing to behead me right here and now. Indeed, you're right. So, I, too, would prefer you to choose to die later. It seems that in order to become human, the puppeteer needed more than just killing me, it had to become the ruthless predator and consume me. Hey, does it have to be me who you eat? As I said this, I wondered what a terrifying idea I had come up with and felt aghast at myself. Certainly, it may not necessarily have to be you, the master. However, it's not like just any human would suffice. Consuming a powerful human would bring me closer to becoming human. Also, I'm the type who's not very patient, but can you find such a human quickly? Oh, I can. I promise. Good. In an instant, it seemed the puppeteer released its grip, and my arms were free. Then, please lead me to where that human is as soon as possible. All right. As I replied, two individuals came to mind. One of them was Agatha, who was sealed. The other was the vampire Judite. It seemed that one of them would have to be sacrificed in order to move forward. Chapter 41. Hey, hurry up. Since obtaining, save and reset, I've felt that the value of my own life has plummeted. I no longer have any particular feelings about dying. After all, I can just start over even if I die. I remember in the beginning, each death was maddening due to the pain and mental anguish, but now, I'm more accustomed to it than I was at that time. I can't say I'm completely at ease, though. Slowly but surely, I'm getting used to dying, and that thought itself terrifies me. So, how do I feel about killing others? Look, there's a human over there. I had brought the puppeteer with me to a certain place. Before me, Agatha, who had been sealed, was present. Well, even if I wanted to eat, I can't touch her because she's sealed in a powerful barrier. No, I can easily break the barrier. Until now, I've been able to easily break barriers with just a touch, and it should be fine this time as well. I see. In that case, please go ahead. Upon being told so, I headed towards Agatha, who had been sealed. Is this really okay? I had contemplated various things on my way here. Which of them should I sacrifice, the vampire Judite or Agatha? Judite is a dangerous entity. I've been killed by her multiple times. So, I can't say I desire the current situation with her running rampant. However, I do have some good memories with her. So, I can't help but hesitate. On the other hand, what about Agatha? Honestly, I have nothing but bad memories with Agatha. However, the number of times I've been killed by her is much less compared to Judite. I thought she was safe as long as I didn't release her seal, but for some reason, when I came into contact with Judite, her spirit separated from her body and appeared before me as a vengeful spirit, trying to kill me. While I have no intention of coming into contact with Judite anymore, and the likelihood of being attacked in the same way may be low, she still remains a dangerous entity. Yes, that's why feeding Agatha to the puppeteer here is to eliminate potential future threats and is absolutely necessary to escape this dungeon. So, what I'm trying to do is not wrong. Why are you standing still since a while ago? I realized it after being told that my feet weren't moving. Ha, ha, ha. I noticed my breathing was labored. My heart rate was abnormal from a while ago. I vomited right there. I continued to vomit until everything in my stomach was gone. Hey, hurry up. The puppeteer urged impatiently, but I couldn't even stand up. Why am I feeling so sick like this? Am I under attack by someone? No, that's not it. Agatha hasn't done anything. It's just that I feel like I'm being crushed by guilt. Is the act of killing someone accompanied by such intense mental anguish? I'm starting to despise myself for thinking that it's okay to sacrifice Agatha. What kind of person am I? I'm not denying the act of killing in itself. After all, I've sworn revenge on the villagers, and I hate them enough to want to kill them. But I can't hold the same feelings for Agatha. Sure, she has caused me various troubles. So, objectively, it might be permissible to kill her. But, she told me she liked me. It's still despicable to kill someone who has said that, just because it's inconvenient. Sorry, I can't do it. I can't bring myself to kill her. I muttered softly. I might be considered pathetic, but I just couldn't get my body to move as I wanted. So, it's fine. Puppeteer, if you don't like it, just go ahead and kill me. Ah, well, there's no helping it. Suddenly, I heard a resigned voice from the puppeteer. It didn't sound like a voice that would come from the puppeteer, and I was surprised. I'll give up on eating this child. Is that okay? You're not going to eat me. What's that? You want me to eat you or something? No, that's not what I meant. While saying that, I stood up. But you want to become human, right? That's true, but, to become human, you have to eat a human, right? But it's impossible. Oh, I see. In that case, you should find another way. I was surprised by the puppeteer's response. I couldn't understand what kind of confusion led to this.